Okay, Nick Dutch here yet again for, I think it's part 3 by now. Still reading through this Wikipedia article, making comments, and trying to apply the scientific methodology to the New Age and to the occult, trying to point out and illustrate what is wrong with aspects of the New Age and the occult world, and trying to use ideas from natural science and social science to try and get a more cohesive picture of how we can actually try and increase human knowledge about essentially what is dubbed or called the supernatural. Okay, the article goes on. Since Ibn al-Haytham, someone I haven't heard of before, but never mind, one of the key figures in developing scientific method, the emphasis has been on seeking the truth. And there's a quotation here. Truth is sought for its own sake, and those who are engaged upon the quest for anything for its own sake are not interested in other things. Finding the truth is difficult, and the road to it is rough. And then there's a 4-point list of how to go through the process of science, presumably according to this one guy. Number 1, use your experience. Consider the problem and try to make sense of it. Look for previous explanations. If this is a new problem for you, then move to step 2. Alright, so this is quite straightforward. Point number 2, form a conjecture. Just like making a hypothesis, really, I suppose. Where nothing else is yet known, try to state an explanation to someone else or to your own notebook. 3, deduce a prediction from that explanation. If you assume 2, namely your conjecture, to be true, what consequences follow? So that's essentially like what I was talking about, extrapolating beyond the limited understanding of, that you've got already, to try and find out what else could possibly follow on. 4, test. Look for the opposite of each consequence in order to disprove 2. So that's a bit like falsifiability, I suppose. That's when you try and work out ways of challenging your own points of view. It is a logical error to seek 3, which is the prediction from your explanation, directly as proof of 2, which is of course your conjecture. The error is called affirming the consequent. This model underlines the scientific revolution. 1,000 years ago, Alhazen demonstrated the importance of steps 1 and 4. Galileo in 1638 also showed the importance of step 4, also called experiment, in 2 new sciences. One possible consequence of this model would be 1, 2, 3, and 4. If the outcome of 4 holds and 3 is not yet disproven, you may continue with 3, 4, 1, and so forth. So essentially it's talking about continuing the process of analysis and experiment. But if the outcome of 4 and 3 shows to be false, you'd have to go, if the outcome of 4 shows 3 to be false, you'd have to go back to 2 and try and invent a new 2, deduce a new 3, look for 4, and so forth. So that's a methodology of reasoning, and there is no reason why that cannot be done with anything of an apparently or allegedly supernatural nature at all whatsoever. But this is not done within supernatural, New Age, or magical or occult circles. It just isn't, by the vast majority. And this is something that I would like personally to be involved in changing. Because we need to be analytical, and we need to carry on experimenting, we need to carry on exploring, because so much is basically unknown. I mean, the sum total of human knowledge is pathetic by comparison to everything that there is to be known. And so therefore, perpetually seeking the truth is important. Whatever is true, but on the way to that, we'll probably just get more models of the world and more models of the world and have to build up upon that bit by bit. But we've still got to carry on looking. Now, this method can never absolutely verify, maybe prove the truth of point number 2. It can only falsify point number 2. This is what Einstein meant when he said, "No amount of experimentation can ever prove me right. A single experiment can prove me wrong," which is a very important thing to think. So when we have some experiences, that's why we can't turn around and say that this is a hard and fast proof that something is real, just that we've discovered that something seems to happen under some circumstances, we need to find out more about what's caused that particular phenomenon. In the 20th century, Ludwig Fleck, 1896 to 1961, and others found that we need to consider our experiences more carefully, because our experience may be biased, and that we need to be more exact when describing our experiences, which is, again, precisely what we need to think about when we're dealing with apparently or allegedly spiritual beings or supernatural events and occurrences. So that's a perfect expression that we need if we're going to be scientific about the supernatural, which is what essentially I'm trying to be. I'll repeat it again. In the 20th century, Ludwig Fleck, 1896 to 1961, and others found that we need to consider our experiences more carefully because our experiences may be biased, and that we need to be more exact when describing our experiences. I think that, that phrase itself says a hell of a lot. The article goes on. Belief can alter observations. So those with a particular belief will often see things as reinforcing their belief, even if they do not. And that's why I'm against belief. I can state what seems to have happened. I mean, there could be a criticism against me that I've believed that these things could happen, which is peculiar if what happens to me is something that I had not expected to happen, or indeed something which I did not believe could happen. I mean, that's an important point. Now, scientific methodology is not a recipe. It requires intelligence, imagination, and creativity. It's also an ongoing cycle, continually developing more useful, accurate, and comprehensive models and methods. That's right, developing more comprehensive models and methods. All right? Not suddenly turning around to you and stating that something or other is fact, or indeed that one particular model or method is 100% reliable. For instance, certain models of the way the world is will be discredited. I mean, quantum theory will probably be something you'll end up doing in school in the not too distant future as we start moving on beyond that. I mean, even in primary school, who knows? But what I'm trying to communicate when I say that is that we've got some very good understanding now of the natural world, but that is still a set of models, and it therefore is not the right one. It is the one we have at the moment, and it will be expanded upon with time. All right, that should be the same to include things of the spiritual and supernatural world as well. I mean, just without the shadow of a doubt, there's more things that we can learn, that we can know. We must not stop our search for the truth. For example, when Einstein developed the special and general theory of relativity, he did not in any way refute or discount Newton's Principia. On the contrary, if the astronomically large and vanishingly small and the extremely fast are reduced out of Einstein's theories, all phenomena that Newton could have observed, Newton's equations remain. Einstein's theories are expansions and refinements on Newton's theories, and observations that increase our confidence in them and also increase our confidence in Newton's approximations to them. All right. So another way of expanding upon the 4-point system that we saw earlier on. I've got enough time in this video very quickly. Number 1, define the question. Number 2, gather information and resources, namely to observe. Number 3, form a hypothesis. Number 4, perform experiments and collect data. Number 5, analyze data. Number 6, interpret data and draw conclusions that serve as a starting point for a new hypothesis. Number 7, publish your results. And 8, retest. Frequently done by other scientists. I'll stop right there. I'll come back on the camera and we'll talk again shortly.